All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. We are Jenna, and we'll be presenting our product, Promptimizer. My name is Nati, and this is the rest of my team, Julian, Emily, Nathan, and our amazing mentor, Abraham. So personally, I have observed that it takes me a lot of prompt iterations for me to generate something useful from ChatGPT. And I also know some people that struggle with ChatGPT, like international students that went to school with me that are not necessarily very fluent in English. And I've observed how they're not utilizing ChatGPT to its full extent. And this is why we're addressing the problem of effective prompt engineering. So when working with AI chat models, prompts, especially the first one, set the scope of what the AI would consider when trying to give the user a response. And malformed prompts severely reduce an AI's ability to assist the user quickly and accurately. So you might ask, why does this matter? Three broad reasons. The first is that the pace at which AI is advancing creates a gap between the public and the various technologies of AI available out here. Secondly, in the age of infinite access to knowledge, there's a need more than ever for new inclusive approaches to learning. So there's so much information out there that's not being taken advantage of, therefore access to this information is essential. And thirdly, despite certain AI tools being available to the public and despite efforts to narrow the gap between the public and the technology, there are still groups that feel the gap more drastically than others. Think people that speak English as a second language, maybe think of school kids, think of international students, and I also urge you to think of any other groups that you can have in mind. So this leads us to our market research. Emily?
Great job, Nadi. Now let's hear from the user's perspective. We polled 16 people, half of whom were non-native English speakers, about generative AI. First, we found that over half of respondents reported generally having to reformat their prompts at least once before yielding a satisfying response from generative AI, which only demonstrates that the greater public has not yet adopted proper prompt engineering skill sets. Second, we found that an overwhelming 91% of respondents who were non-native English speakers generally agreed that generative AI helped them complete English-oriented tasks, such as writing emails, which improves clarity and understanding for all parties involved. And finally, we found that a quarter of survey respondents reported that frustration had actually prevented them or someone they knew from using generative AI tools completely, a statistic that our product seeks to reverse. Next slide. Here we have an expert opinion from the Associate Vice President at Educational Test Services, a nonprofit organization dedicated to expanding AI access. Often companies ignore the non-average users, accessibility for disabled, economically low income, bias to certain demographics, and so on. It's imperative for institutions, governments, nonprofits to make sure that these capabilities are truly accessible to everyone. A lot of education needs to happen so everyone can leverage AI. Next slide. Our product has three main objectives. First, to democratize access to AI in a way that is both equitable and ethical. And second, to optimize the quality and effectiveness of the prompts of the responses through our fully automated Promptimizer. And lastly, to enhance the prompt engineering skill set of the average user. Now I'll pass it on to Nathan, who will talk to you about the technical aspects of our solution.
So our solution to the problem involved using Meta's Premier Llama 2. Llama 2 is an open source large language model that supports fine-tuning capabilities that allow us to really focus on how Llama 2 generates its outputs. So here we can see some performance metrics of Llama 2 compared to other competitors. And as you can see, even lower parameter models still outperform the competition by a wide margin. So the potential implementations of this model are massive. Our approach involved creating both bad prompts and optimal prompt pairs as a data set and feeding that into Llama 2 with a fixer prompt that helps to contextualize how to generate an output based on a given input. After training, we have a new finely tuned model that can take a user's prompt and generate a formatted version of it, allowing an AI to better digest the information much more easily. And here's a little demo of our model in action. Thanks for that. But as you can see, just from changing up the words of it, we can get entirely different from ChatGPT, different results from ChatGPT that enhance what we can gain from it. So as you can see here, we enter just summarize the text and it doesn't help us further, but passing that same prompt into our model could give us vastly different results once we pass that into a language model like ChatGPT. And now I'm passing it over to Julian.
Thank you, Nathan. And now, in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning projects, ethics is of the utmost importance, especially to us in our team. Here's an ethical AI matrix that describes how Promptimizer would affect various groups involved with our product. As you can see across the board, a common effect of Promptimizer would be that it streamlines and simplifies the prompt execution process. Instead of repeated and constant iteration, the use of Promptimizer would result in a smoother, less frustrating experience. Another strength of our product is that it levels the playing field between users, including non-native English speakers and their native English-speaking counterparts, consumers and producers, and junior and senior employees. However, there are some potential ethical issues of our product that will arise if the creation of our product wasn't managed properly. For example, data collection, the collection of prompt data that could contain trade secrets or personal information, which could be harmful to the user. To solve this problem, we would have an opt-in prompt collection system. The second issue is prompt steering, in which the model would guide the prompt to a specific agenda or perspective. And the third is bias. As with all generative AI tools, the data needs to be chosen carefully so that the stereotypes or biases against different groups do not arise. Now, we are not alone in this space. Our biggest competitors are DALL-E 2 prompt generator, which generates prompts for cleaner, more detailed AI-generated images, and Prompt Perfect, a prompt optimizer for GPT-4, Midjourney, DALL-E 2, and more. For now, for our competitive analysis, by far the biggest barrier to using Prompt Perfect is the price. Prompt Perfect is monetized with a monthly subscription plan that limits the number of prompts you can optimize. They do have a free plan, but it limits you to just 20 prompts per month. Prompt Perfect is also private, meaning users cannot access the model itself via the code or improve it in any way. Finally, Prompt Perfect is enterprise-oriented. To gain access to unlimited prompt access, you need to pay upwards of $7,000 a month. In contrast, our product Promptimizer is free to use. It's also open source along with Llama V2, meaning anyone could fine-tune our model for their own purposes or view the model themselves. Lastly, Promptimizer is consumer-oriented. Now back to Emily.
Our first point of future expansion is the model itself. We can curate a larger data set that will generate more varied responses that better suit the user's needs. Second, we intend to compile our model into a fully accessible Google extension. We will also develop a model that is compatible with languages other than just English. And finally, we will instate a user feedback loop that feeds the best scored prompts generated by users to the model to strengthen it. Next slide. Thank you for your time, judges, and we sincerely hope that you help us change society for the better by investing in a solution that expands access to AI for all.